Uh, Warm welcome to our guest and to all of you. Today is Sunday, noon, exact noon now, and still all of you are here. So that shows the popularity of the person, a great person, a prolific writer, a great orator, and above all, a level-headed thinker, researcher, and analyst. That's what is my observation of him. And whatever he writes, it's such a lucid and straight to your heart, rather brain also, and you understand it immediately. There is no hoo-ha about it. There is no two words about it. It's very simple, sometimes hard-hitting, but clear. And as I was introduced, I come from television and film background, so I might use some jargon of that field. Hope you would understand. Today, basically, we are here to discuss his new book, Ahimsa. And byline is 100 Reflections on the Harappan Civilization. We all know Harappan civilization, right? Basically, I have two questions. Rather, I was reading the book and I was planning to take down 10, 15 points maximum on the book and ask him. But when I started reading, each page had 5 to 8 points. And I said, we have to have a separate festival for him. And I stopped. But even then, I have 26 questions, which I don't think we are going to finish. So I will try and minimize my questions. So basically, when we talk about Ahimsa, I have two questions simultaneously. Globally, if we see Ahimsa, Ahimsa is translated as non-violence. First question is if that is right, but I'll come to that. Because we say dharma and religion are not the same thing. So similarly, is Ahimsa non-violence only? But before that, globally when we see Ahimsa, people are out of India either think of Mahatma Gandhi or Mahatma Buddha. When they zoom in a little bit from that wide shot, they see India as a whole and they think India is Ahimsak. India is all people Sahishnu, they don't bother others, they don't invade other countries, they like to be peaceful, that is Ahimsa. When we zoom further, close up, we see Jainism. And they say Jains, because Jainism and Ahimsa are associated equally. Are you suggesting here that we have to zoom in further to the Harappan civilization, close up, extreme close up, or maybe microscopic shot, and this is the origin of Ahimsa?
Thank you for that question. So when we say Ahimsa, the first thing people think is vegetarian food. Right? So I am vegetarian, I am non-violent. So that's first. Second is Gandhi, Buddha, religion, I don't hit people, hurt people. But this is not the origin of the term Ahimsa. And that is the unfortunate thing. We have reduced it to something very, it's wrong basically. Let me put it this way. Let's ask ourselves, in nature, why does violence exist? Violence is there in nature. Why? Because without violence, there's no consumption. An herbivorous animal will eat the plants. The carnivorous animal will eat the herbivorous. So the whole food cycle which exists is very violent. I mean, you can't deny it. You just look at nature, tiger attacking a deer, you can't say, oh, don't do that. It is wrong. Tiger won't listen to you, he'll probably eat you. So the problem is we don't understand violence is necessary for consumption. So if you are consuming anything, vegetarian food, then you are violent. If you're talking about a nation state, culture, you're talking about violence. So then what is Ahimsa? When and you have to ask this foundational question. Ahimsa comes only when you're content. Because then you'll consume less. And when you consume less, you will have less violence.
Right.
And in order to enable contentment, what you do is to prevent people from fighting, you trade, you exchange. So I consume, you consume, and we help each other. So otherwise I'll start consuming more and more and more. I'll become like a bakasur. I'll only eat. I will never be content and I will not look at you and say, oh, you are also hungry, let me feed you. So it has a far more philosophical idea of trading. So raiding and trading. Raiding is, so trading for me
Snatching
is
from others.
snatch. So raiding is snatching, violence. Trading is exchange,
Right.
market, which for me is the essence of ahimsa.
ओके थँक्यू. आणि आणखीन एक गोष्ट सांगायचं, आमचा आत्ताचा सेशन मल्टीलिंग्वल असणार आहे. आम्ही हिंदी, मराठी, इंग्लिश तिन्हीमध्ये बोलणार आहे. तुम्हालाही जर काही प्रश्न मराठीत किंवा अगर किसी को हिंदी में पूछना है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं. कीप युअर क्वेश्चंस रेडी. राईट सर?
Yes.
ओके थँक्यू. ही स्पीक्स वंडरफुल मराठी, वंडरफुल हिंदी आणि इंग्लिश तर काही प्रश्नच नाही आहे. बट माय क्वेश्चन टू यू इज, you had somewhere said that beginning of violence is that the thought that everybody should think like me, and violence starts when you try to universalize myth. So what is the contrast of it? What is ahimsa?
So you see, this whole idea कि एक ही सच है, दुनिया में एक ही सच है, and then what happens if I have the truth, then I will argue with you कि whatever you say is wrong, because what I know is always true, what you say is wrong, and then you end up with the Arnab show. No? So everybody keeps fighting, or the parliament, both are fighting.
Absolutely.
Like children, you see these grown men, 60, 70-year-old men fighting like children, screaming at each other, throwing mics at each other, because each one of them thinks they have the truth. So the moment you have one truth as an idea, you will go into vivad.
Right.
The opposite of that is samvad, listening to you.
Yeah.
And then comes anekantavad. Right. So that's why Jain for me became important, because I said these words are only coming in Jainism,
Yeah.
who is a trading community.
Barabar.
So trading community, ahimsa, which means contentment, not vegetarian food, which my Jain friends don't like. I said it's not Jain having, Jain pav bhaji, which makes you
No.
non-violent.
That's the basic.
So that is not the thing. That it is contentment which enables you to do business, and anekantvad, understanding the different points of view exist. Now these values are going away, because, as I said, if you don't respect other people's truth, anekantvad, you cannot be non-violent. Any argument is psychological violence.
बरोबर.
तर मानसिक जे असतो ना, so I was watching people talking about violence. I'm like, if you insult people, it is violence. If you're abusing people, it's violence. So there's mental violence, there's physical. So it's not, the traditional definition of violence is very cosmetic. It's not foundational.
Yeah, that is tangible, that is visible only is violence.
हाँ, वो दिखता है.
हाँ.
हाँ, मैं बहुत अच्छा आदमी है. I go home and insult my wife, but I'm non-violent because I ate only
Vegetarian.
korma, vegetarian korma. So that doesn't make it. That's a very pedestrian approach. Right. Or going on strike. Oh, I didn't fight, but I went on strike. So that is the idea of non-violence. You should be lucky I didn't attack you, so I am a good person. I didn't hit you, so I'm a good person. No, that's not it. It's far more deeper. It's more trading. It's about samvad. It's about anekantvad, multiple ideas, which I found in the Harappan civilization.
Okay.
In the art and architecture was talking these. I mean, the problem is we don't know what they spoke.
Okay.
We don't know anything. All we have is objects. तो धीरे धीरे उससे निकलता है कुछ.
So that's my question again. Mythology or research of mythology is like crime investigation. You have proofs, you have some evidences, but they're so like, or putting together a jigsaw puzzle.
Yes.
Out of 100 pieces only you have maximum 20 maybe, and the other pieces you are creating.
Yes.
So how much difficult it is, and how much valid and authentic it becomes when you come to a final picture?
So authenticity is very difficult to define, because I don't want to be Guruji who knows the truth.
Yeah.
Only Gurujis know the truth. And I don't believe in that, because because you wear a costume and say that I'm celibate doesn't make you special. Because that's just performance, that's theatre. And you know theatre and all that. So anybody can wear a costume.
Absolutely.
Anybody can give the delivery
king
dialogue.
or somebody.
King and all that. Costume pehne se like I always tell people, costume pehne se tum Krishna nahi ben jate ho. You can just put a more punk and say I'm Krishna. Doesn't happen. The point is that when you look at objects, they talk to us. Let's give a day-to-day example. There is Rangoli. People do Rangoli. When you do Rangoli, if you look carefully at Rangolis, they are always radially symmetrical. So there is a design. It is not random. You put dots, you put lines, and your talent comes in how many dots and how many lines can you draw. That is how talented you are.
Yeah.
But the important thing about Rangoli is it has to not last. It is done in the morning, by evening it should go away. Or if it is done in the evening, by morning it goes away. The wind will blow, people will step on it. It is to be changed. Now this art is communicating the concept of impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. Beauty comes, beauty goes. Everything changes. The design changes every day. You don't do the same patterns every day. It gives you a sense of rhythm. So even a visual talks to you.
Like Anitya we call it.
Anitya. It is Anitya. So you want to explain Anitya by showing something. Now when you look at the Harappan civilization, the first thing that strikes you is it is at the same time when the Harappan cities were being built, the pyramids were being built in Egypt. Mesopotamia had ziggurats. Now pyramids can be seen from far away. Ziggurats can be seen from far away. But when you go to Harappan cities, you can't see anything tall. They were all flat structures.
Ground floor.
There is no monument.
Right.
Now monuments are typically built to intimidate. Okay, to intimidate you. Look how big I am, how strong I am. There is no monument. So there is no desire to intimidate. Second, there is no, they have not found evidence very clearly of army, war. Even the artwork doesn't show war.
You say there are no even weapons?
Weapons are very few are found, and you know, so it's that almost people have always said this non-violent, peaceful. This is not a new idea. It is known, but people find it very difficult to accept that how can that be? There must be proof. We have to find violence because all cultures are the same. And I'm saying all cultures are not the same. Absolutely. Egypt is different from Mesopotamia, and Mesopotamia is different from the Harappan cities. And this culture does not have a king, doesn't seem to have a dominant structure, which means they are trying to create a society without violence, without psychological as well as physical violence. Added to that, there are trading.
Okay.
You know, many people know more about Harappan toilets than Harappan trade.
Yeah.
Everybody says, oh, we had toilets at that time. But I always ask why, if the toilets were so important, why did they disappear? Why did they come, last for 500 years and disappear?
Then disappear.
And what happens in this period? You suddenly have these houses being built and they're transporting lapis lazuli, which is only found in Afghanistan, down the Indus River. So the book cover is blue in color because it is lapis lazuli. And, you know, even this is slightly lapis lazuli.
Yeah, you come matching to it.
So lapis lazuli is coming from Afghanistan, going down the Sindhu River, up the Gujarat coast, Makran coast, going to the Persian Gulf, going to Oman, 4,000 kilometers, 4,500 years ago. Beads are being made out of it. These are rare beads which are going all over there. You don't find this bead anywhere, to the point that start making imitation after that. Okay. Imitation also starts. Oh. Faience. So you have this imitation jewelry coming. There's turquoise coming from Iran. There's lapis lazuli coming from Afghanistan. There is cornelian, red color stone coming from Gujarat. Green, all these colored stones. In those days, they were very precious. They were rare. They were not seen. Stone was not there in Mesopotamia.
Oh.
It was a clay soil. So stone is not there. It is coming all the way. These are trading people. They are building these cities. So I said, traders, no sign of, and also the houses are built in such a way to, you know, what we call it's very organized. Yeah. Now, if you go to a gated community anywhere in Pune or Bombay or anywhere, it is highly organized. Yeah. The reason for it is to prevent quarrels. Neighbors should not fight with each other. Oh. So you have gate, you have a wall, you have a gate, every house has a separate entrance. You are trying to minimize conflict.
Right. No common walls,
no common. So you just maintain a distance. You're there, but you're not there. Everybody has their own courtyard. This is a classic sign of a community which says, humko ladai nahi karna hai. And hence, ahimsa. So there is a mindset of ahimsa. And scholars like, you know, now a lot of archaeologists are saying that don't try to paint everyone with the same brush. It is possible that different cultures think differently. Yeah. And Indian cultures always thought differently. And I'm like, there is something very, and in later traditions, whenever you find, for example, very close to Maharashtra, Pune is famous. Between Bombay and Pune, there are some of the majestic Buddhist caves.
Yeah, Karla,
Bhaja, all that. Yeah, now they are all built on trade routes. So wherever trading happens, you will find monastic orders. Buddhism, Jainism. So I'm saying, could it be, it's theory, कि even during Harappa when they were trading, there was some kind of a monastic order which talked about ahimsa, anekantvad, trading, make peace, ladai mat karo, something. Is it possible? Why should they only be warriors killing each other? Right. And I think that is my big suggestion, कि look at Harappa differently.
Okay, but लेकिन कभी भी ऐसी कोई civilization है, ऐसी कोई सभ्यता है जिसको peaceful रखना है, तो उसको कंट्रोल करने वाला, नियंत्रित करने वाला भी पीसफुल चाहिए, वो वॉरियर नहीं चाहिए, वो शांत स्वभाव का. एंड यू से दैट दीज communities were controlled by monks or kind of religious people who did not own anything. So a community which is trying to be rich, trade karun, vyapar karun वगैरह, but they are being they're respecting somebody and they are controlled, they're performing. So how is this combination?
So you see, when you look at control, this is a very big, politicians love to control people. And there are only two methods by which you can control people in the whole world. One is weapons, of course. You can frighten people, violence. So either you will, what is called, if you are in the human resource department, it is called carrot and stick approach. If you follow the rules, you will get promotion. If you follow the rules, you will get rewards, recognition. But if you don't follow the rules, you will be disciplinary action will be taken place, you will be attacked. So these are very physical methods of control. But the second method of control, which is far more powerful, is ideology, storytelling. I start believing in something, and therefore at a particular time, everybody will start to pray.
Okay.
Why? It is internal motivation. It is an internal motivation because you have been told a story that you have been told, pray this way, perform this festival, travel like this, wear these clothes because someone is going to, and that idea of a story, internally you start believing. In India you have this concept of purity, shuddha, ashuddha. This is based on story. There is no logic. Why is this better? Why is that better? Northeast corner mein hona chahiye. These are storytelling concepts. And we start believing in it. And every culture needs these two things. Clearly, Egypt had a very strong story, but it also had a lot of violence.
Okay.
Mesopotamia had a lot of story and had a lot of violence. To give you an example of how do you know people are fighting, they have different measuring systems. So if I go from Bombay to Pune, imagine if you have to change, you do currency exchange. Which means I don't like Bombay, so I will not have a common currency. So you have different currency exchange. So they had different measuring systems. But the Harappan region, which is over 1,000 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers, there is no currency, there is no measuring system is changing. Same measuring system because they all believe in something common. What is that belief? Something to do with non-violence. Something to do with collaboration. There is no, the violent images, I found two images of two men fighting. In one, there is holding trees. In the other, they are holding spears. Between them, there is a woman. Every archaeologist will say two men fighting over a woman.
Yeah, it's on your cover.
You see the image. It is tiny. It is 10 centimeters. I said, how did the men know they are fighting over a woman? Is it possible the woman is stopping two stupid men from fighting?
True. Possible. And
So
more
I checked.
likely. Absolutely.
And typically all archaeologists are male.
Yeah. Even there is a, definitely.
It is the new generation of female
Absolutely.
archaeologists who are challenging these views.
Even similar thing applies to the dancing pose of that statue, or rather it's a pose, not dancing, but they call it as a dancing girl. And a man sitting on a seat like this, he is a king. Who decides that?
Like, how did you decide that, he is not the doorkeeper
Yeah.
and she is the boss?
Definitely.
No, she can't be the boss. And the thing is, because in your head, only a dancer stands like this. I said, you have not seen women fighting?
Very true.
Gappa bas, jasta bolaitha nahi.
Absolutely, every time.
So that we have seen women stand like this.
True.
So that for me is important.
Yeah.
And this challenging this view of violence, and this, all cultures have to be violent. I'm saying India has imagined a culture of, you can say, a psychological manipulation or something, some way to prevent ki ladai kam karo. And you see, it is almost, because we are short of time, these places are almost like SEZ,
Special economic zones.
Because 90% of the people didn't live in the cities. The way we are taught Harappa, we think that everybody lived in the cities. Because city is better than village. Now, that's the British idea. That city is better than a village. So they said Harappan civilization has cities. Cultures don't have cities. You know, these kind of artificial divisions come. And they're saying, but that is not the reason. That region doesn't need stone houses. People have lived for thousands of years in those regions without those kind of houses. And after those 500 years, they went back to living in their own ways. You know, farmers were there, herders were there, millet was being grown, wheat was being grown. They had domesticated the buffalo.
Yeah.
They had domesticated the zebu cow. So there was a lot of activity going on. They just didn't stop trading. So ये factory थे. और factory में कैसे, you know, and I think there was, this is where I'm speculating, that they were very particular about these stones. Nobody else should touch it. The छुआछूत का concept. That nobody, so they were always sealing them. They were always sealing. It was always about sealing. There were a lot of these stamping,
yeah.
Controlling the raw materials, controlling the finished goods. Nobody's allowed to touch it. So you have all these seals in these gates. Wherever the gate is there, it's a lot of control. It's obsessed with control. It reminded me of an industrial complex.
Right.
And in an industrial complex where you control people, you can't go out to do bathroom. चोरी कर सकते हो.
बिल्कुल.
So then you build a toilet inside for your facilities.
Right.
The rest of the people don't have that. And there's obsession with taking bath. Because you can't touch that. Even today we do that. Na, अंघोळ करून मग ये. So do this. Don't enter the kitchen. Now, is there logic? No. It is belief. कि नहीं, kitchen is holy. अंघोळ करून जा. जेवायच्या आधी अंघोळ कर. So this obsession with taking a bath before they start making the beads, for me said something, this is not engineer rationality. This is occult. You know,
it comes
Jadutona.
from some kind of a...
Because those beads which are traveling to Mesopotamians believed in ghosts, demons, Jadutona, Nazar. So for Nazar, you have different types of stones which are used. And these are not going... everybody would say jewelry. I said, jewelry is aesthetic. But when you see people's hands, you will see somebody wearing diamond, pearl. It is not jewelry. It is, if I wear this gold, then I'll get a good husband. If I have this. Yeah. So same things happening at that time. And maybe India was the land from where you got these special stones.
Exactly.
Jadoo tone ke alag-alag rang birange. And therefore they have to be... and you know, it's like branding. Untouched by human hands. So they branded this. It was coming all the way from a faraway land where there were peacocks coming.
Oh.
And the rooster, India gave the world chicken.
Acha.
Yeah, but so I always tell vegetarians, remember, chicken is Indian, potato is not.
Oh, wow. So remember all those like non-vegetarians.
So this kind of, but the thing is peacocks came. Peacocks went to there. So they would see India as this colorful, magical land.
Rich land.
Even when Islam comes, many thousand years later, they always look at India as the land of Adam, jahan Adam aaya tha, jahan se Adam aaya tha. So there is something magical about India. It was the land of bananas.
Oh.
So they used to love bananas because you could, banana is easy to transport. You can keep it raw, it will travel all the way, and it is, by the time it reaches there 4 weeks later, it is ready to eat.
Okay. So, nice. So my question to you is, basically, I think Ahimsa or non-violence violence comes when there's scarcity, when there is less of resources. But India was a full of resource country. So was it because of that we did not have much of Ahimsa?
No, that's interesting. See, you can have a lot of wealth, but if you don't share it, there is scarcity. What is called artificial scarcity.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is why
Hoarding
raiding and
keeping,
trading.
yeah.
So now imagine I keep all the food in my house. You will raid my house.
Yeah.
To prevent this from raiding, now I'm going to give you. Now if I give you, then I make you a debtor. You are in debt.
Yeah.
Rin.
Then I won't hurt you.
Then I can, so that gets into a mix.
Yeah.
So I say, nahi, tu kuch de, fir main tumko kuch deta hu.
Okay.
So santosh or contentment is critical for good business. What is happening in the world today? The rich countries in the world are saying, we want sustainable economy where we are only rich.
We are rich, right. So they want the dominance, they want the control.
We will not stop. So there is no concept of contentment in capitalism, communism. They don't talk about contentment. Capitalists, communists don't believe in santosh. No. There one is fighting for profit, one is fighting constantly for justice.
Justice and equanimity.
Or they'll create new wars, new things, because how can you be content?
Yeah.
But Ahimsa is about contentment, and therefore Jains also have a concept called aparigraha.
Yeah.
Don't accumulate stuff. Keep rotate karte
Rotating,
raho.
giving to
So,
others.
it's a business mind. Aparigraha technically means give away. But the businessman said, मैं कैसे दे सकता हूँ?
हाँ, वो तो परिग्रह कर रहा है.
हाँ, तो वो करता है क्या? He comes up with investment. I give you, you return. And that cycle, because he's a good businessman, he says, God has told me not to hold. I want to give, but if I give, मेरा सब चला जाएगा, फिर वापस कैसे आएगा? तो मुनीम बन गया वो. बही खाता खोला, debit, credit, पाप, पुण्य, all these concepts, snake and ladder game, all that comes from a trading mindset. India invented snake and ladder, and we don't understand. Double bookkeeping. If you read the history textbooks, they will say it starts 500 years ago in Europe. It doesn't. It starts in Gujarat, in this area, coast, because Bahi Khata concept. Debit credit was always part of Indian philosophy, and it comes from trading. And because Harappa is a trading culture, I'm saying that, maybe they thought of these things, because if one guy, if you see the famous Pashupata seals, all of them, by the way, their symbols are always these violent, aggressive male animals.
Okay.
The elephant, the rhinoceros, they're all male animals.
They're not domesticated.
They are not domesticated.
It's ox but not bull.
Ox, but bull.
Bull but not ox. Sorry. Yeah.
So it's always bull. Then so it's aggressive animals. They are male, aggressive, wild animals.
Yeah.
How do you make them work together? And you have that so-called Pashupati sitting in front. कि भैया शांति रखो, सबको साथ में काम करना है. So you have 6 political parties and saying that, okay, now let's make a Yukti Sena or something like that. Yudi, whatever. Yeah. But they all have these conglomerates. You have a conglomerate of saying that, we can also, in order to get this system to work, Santosh is important. You can't be greedy. One person, because business can collapse anytime. They're traveling long distance. This year you made a lot of money. Next year you didn't make money. So the rich guy can become super rich.
Yeah.
So then that will create monopoly. So, really I saw business in the art and architecture. Everybody seeing from a military point of view. And I said, stop. Don't look at it military, the invasion, attack, war. I said, look at it from a mercantile point of view.
Okay.
And the river, the ocean is mercantile. Mercantile comes with its own mythology. And then I started looking at the artwork. And this artwork is ladai mat karo yaar, business karo.
Okay.
So basically don't trade. So this concept, is even in India today, even on the road, if somebody is fighting, they'll say shanti rakho. Abhi bada bhai hoke samajh lo, maaf kar lo. We have this natural ability to be conflict averse.
Okay. आता पण म्हणतो आपण युद्ध नको बुद्ध हवा. Same kind of.
Because you realize when you read Ramayana Mahabharata, they'll say, war will cost a lot. It has a very high cost.
It does.
Be careful. Draupadi will lose her children. Are you ready to lose your children?
Yeah, that reminds me of story of Rishabdev and his 2 sons fighting over the thing, and they decided की आपण दोघंच लढूया, आपल्या सैन्याला कशाला मारायचं. And
these stories you don't find in any other culture. You don't find in any other culture where suddenly, दोघांमध्ये असं की नाही, let's decide की army will not fight.
Yes.
We will fight.
We will fight. जलयुद्ध, मल्लयुद्ध.
Imagine if we do elections like this.
Yeah. That's a great idea, no?
We can sell tickets and make money.
Absolutely. Lakhs of
Boxing
rupees.
match, a running match, and you see Bahubali and Bharat going through this beautiful set of swimming match.
Yes, Jalayuddha, Mallayuddha, Netrayuddha.
And we can do some case studies also for the intellectuals.
Yes.
So
just stare at each other for 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
Yes,
bas. No need of elections, just staring at each other. So but the thing is, that alternate ideas exist, and I think this is important for telling the young generation. Don't look at Harappa as some gundas fighting over thing. Look at trading as a model. Look at the different ways of looking at these art, architecture, seals, geometry. We have to open our minds to new ideas. So the book is not just about Harappa.
Not at all.
It is about mind. How
That's
do
what
you
I was
see?
going to come. Whatever we learn about mythology, history, prehistory, we learn it because we need to do something with our lives and add to something else. What I want to ask you is, how are we connected or linked with Harappan people if we are?
So you see, Harappan, if you read the Vedic hymns, which come about 500-600 years after Harappa, Harappa has gone away. Then after about 500-600 years, you have these hymns appearing. And in those hymns, you have certain little details which says ki this sounds Harappan. This sounds Harappan.
Oh.
Because see, the Aryans who came to India were mostly men. 90% were mostly men. They married local women.
Oh.
See, I'll give you an example. The Indo-European language does not have retroflex sound. So till Hindu Kush, the sound, they cannot say the word.
कोणालाच येत नाही.
आणि ऋग्वेदचं फर्स्ट लाईन मध्ये ळ असतो. अग्नी मिळे.
Oh.
ळ शब्द
Yeah.
उच्चार is there in Rigved. This sound does not exist anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? It came from the mothers.
Oh.
So when you, and how do you know this? Because now language experts are women.
Yes.
And so someone like a Peggy
Language is
Mohan.
mostly controlled by women.
No, the original. See, when you read the linguistics, they'll always see male writers. When the women got into the scholarship, they said, no, a child learns from the mother. So if you have a mixed marriage, the child has to deal with the father's language, mother's language.
That's why Matrubhasha.
So Matrubhasha, so she is going to learn the local post-Harappan language, whatever that was. But then the father says, अरे मेरा language चला जाएगा, तो उसको उपनयन करके मेरे पास लेके आओ, so that I can teach him my language.
अच्छा.
And then that child has mother's father, and he starts creating mantra, and in the mantra he starts creating some mother, some father. So we have got
mixed
both.
bag.
And this is how you have to start looking at Indian culture. Don't see it only from a man's point of view. Also see the women's role.
Oh.
You know, and that is what. So Harappa, for example, Sindur, Harappan. Bangdya, Harappan. Bangdi is not found anywhere else in the world.
They used to cut the shells and make bangles.
No, you know, we don't realize this. Bangles don't exist in any other culture. Not in China, not in Mesopotamia. They have bracelets. They don't have bangles. Circular bangles. Bangles, anklets are only found in India. And then, of course, they're made of shell. Then sindoor is there. Thali is there. Masala. Turmeric, garlic, Indian.
Oh.
Wangi, Indian. Chicken, Indian. I shall use the word buffalo to be on the safe side. Mug, freshwater fish. Seawater fish. The seawater fish would be exported right up to Punjab. They found freshwater fish over there, seawater fish over there. So,
but what kind of cold storage mechanism was available?
no, the fish would travel. See, also
Or
be
maybe
salted
yeah,
fish.
Okay.
So India had access to salt. So all the food that we eat, masala, the food, maybe they had the circular thali, maybe, we're not 100% sure, that they ate by hand, probably. So we're not, these are little speculative now. We are going to the realm of speculation. But there are these, you start seeing a lot, you know, ratti bhar sona, we say ratti.
Yeah.
So ratti seeds were used even in the Harappan times to measure gold.
Acha.
They loved, the gold ka touchstone is found in Harappa. So gold had already started appearing, although gold is difficult to find in India.
Right.
So India has a lot, the cotton fabrics. Cotton came from India. We exported cotton. Tussar silk has been found. Tussar silk is Ahimsa silk, by the way. Tribal silk, where the thread is not continuous. You let the moth fly away.
Yeah.
That is found in Harappa. So tussar is found, cotton is found, brinjals are found, curds, dahi, ghee, all found in Harappa.
Okay.
Handi, the way of cooking, handi mein jo cooking hota hai, that is found in Harappa.
Okay.
Not with the Aryas.
Oh.
So
that leads me to a question. Aryan invasion theory, and they destroyed Harappan civilization. Is it true? Or what happened to the Harappan civilization? Was it disintegrated? Was it spread all over? Or was it...
See, it's like this. When the market goes away, you know, there were so many markets once upon a time. When the demand goes away, the supply also dies away.
Okay.
So there may have been climate change and all that, but most probably in whatever I am seeing is that the civilization changed, demand changed, supply changed, the supply chain collapsed. उतना ही हुआ और कुछ नहीं हुआ तो बनिए चले गए
इधर उधर चले गए या मर गए या कुछ कैटास्ट्रोफी हो गई
the need for the beads are still there but the need for industrial level manufacturing has stopped. So the need for those cities have gone away. But the beads are still there. Even today when you go to Gujarat, you will find those seeds, those beads. Yeah. You will find the same food they ate, the same masalas. We still eat. Everything is there. Only the cities went away.
But there's another theory that the river shifted. There was no water.
There was a river. There was a second river, very clearly. But it was not that catastrophic. The big Sindhu is there. And we forget that most of the Harappan cities are located in Gujarat and the coastal areas, Rakhi Gadi. So that is there. 500 years after Harappa, suddenly a group of people came to India because in 500 years later, around the world, horse became important.
Oh.
It was the new military technology.
Yes.
Everybody wanted horses. And men came with horses, but when they came to India, India was so wonderful.
So
and
horse
the
is not Indian.
Horse is not Indian. No chance.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the horse comes to India. The men come to India. The women don't come with them. And they suddenly find Indian women quite beautiful. So they decided, let's marry here. And the thing is, the horse cannot multiply easily in India. So they have to keep importing horses. With every horse, a new man came. And so when you read all the Manusmritis of the world, they'll always talk about getting a wife is very difficult.
Oh.
They're obsessed with Indian wives.
So most of the Y chromosomes that we have are from Aryans.
North India, more. South India, less. Upper castes, more. Lower caste, less.
Right.
So it's not as simple. But Tony Joseph is an expert or David Reich is an expert. But there is definitely but we are all Harappans, as Tony Joseph says.
Wow.
We all
So
have
we all
Harappan
sitting
blood.
here are Harappans.
Across the board, all of us have Harappan mothers.
Wow.
Some of us may have our Aryan fathers.
Oh.
Some of us.
Okay.
Not all of us.
So we will take questions from the audience. Can we circulate the mics, please?
Where do you get your material for research?
That is also
because
easy.
it's so old.
No, it's Google.
Oh.
You will be shocked at how much information there is. I always tell young kids, they have a phone in their hand doesn't mean they're educated. Because search karna mushkil hai. You have to first step out of Instagram. Then go into search. And then find every information, every museum in the world, every library in the world has openly shared its information on the internet. So if you have no option to be stupid.
Very true.
So when I see somebody says WhatsApp University mein aisa likha, I said Google karte ho? Why are you forwarding without checking? Because you are a moron. Not forwarding because you're lazy. Your thumb has become lazy. Check, no, ek minute lagta hai. Copy paste karke search karo. It will immediately tell you whether it is fact.
And there are many sites which fact check, give us fake. This is
People
fake,
ask
this
me
is
so
right,
many
you
times. I said, Google karo. I have done lectures in classes where I tell, put your phone in front of me. Wi-Fi is there. Now start searching. And then they start sweating because for the first time they have done search.
Yeah.
You said Ahimsa and contentment are related. If you have the contentment, you can find Ahimsa. But normally the power comes with the money power or muscle power. And it is always a fight between haves and have-nots.
Yeah.
So how can we expect those who have the contentment? Because have-nots have contentment by force. Yeah. But haves don't have contentment because they
have and have not. The person who has is not content. Please realize Indians, Vyasa in Mahabharata described Bakasur. I read Bakasur, but I have met Bakasurs. Every rich and powerful person I have met is so poor. Like I have met zillionaires. When I meet them, I want to leave my 10 rupees with them and sit lele. They are all Bakasurs.
True.
They are trained to be, and because they are Bakasurs, we have such a horrible society. So please don't think rich and powerful people are noble and they'll all go to Gurujis and fall at their feet. They are all Bakasurs.
Yeah.
And there is no Bhima around.
We should be.
So let's be very clear. Being successful, Bakasur is successful, but he creates a terrible society. We don't use that word, but Bakasur is an important concept that we are forgetting. Because without Santosha, see, only when Bhima stops to eat can Draupadi start eating. If Bhima keeps eating, Draupadi cannot eat. So Draupadi ta thalicha goshta mahit hai na tumhala?
Oh.
Till if she starts eating, the food will stop. So Bhima has to ask the question ki jeva paryant means he can go on eating, no? But he says, if I keep eating, poor Draupadi will die. And that is good for us, right? The food will keep coming. So you have, this Santosh concept is not discussed in MBA. So don't get me started, it's my next book.
We'll invite you again. Next one, please.
हिस्ट्री इतिहास जेव्हा जेव्हा नवीन काही पुरावे मिळतात प्रूफ्स मिळतात तेव्हा चेंज होत राहतो जेव्हा असे काही कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी पुरावे मिळतात त्यावेळेस तुम्ही झिरो डाऊन कसं करता त्याची प्रोसेस काय असते
बघा मिथॉलॉजी आणि हिस्ट्री वेगवेगळ्या असतात मिथॉलॉजीमध्ये देर आर मल्टिपल आयडियाज विच कोएक्झिस्ट्स हिस्ट्रीमध्ये एकच आयडिया असतो की एकच आयडिया So the difference between mythology and history is history has allows only one idea to exist. Right? So when you say Ramayana is history, मग एकच लंका पाहिजे. पण mythology मध्ये लंका सांगितलं तर you will get it in Madhya Pradesh, you will get it in Odisha, you will get it in Sri Lanka, you will also get it near the equator. तर वृद्धी कुठे आहे mythology मध्ये? इथे scarcity असतो. आणि जिथे स्कॅर्सिटी असतात तिथे विवाद असतो. तर जेव्हा डेटा येतो यू फर्स्ट चेक वेदर इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम ए गुड सोर्स. आई ऑलवेज चेक कौन हु इज सेइंग दिस, उसको कितना वैल्यू देना चाहिए. सो इफ यू लुक एट माई बुक ऑन अहिंसा आई रिफर टू ऑल आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट्स, द टॉप PhDs, they are doing scholars, and then there is like script. It's very difficult to, there is no great scholar, everybody is struggling.
Yes.
So you have multiple writers from lateral thinking. So you have to, I check the peer review. For me that is very, very, very important.
Right.
Like Ramayana असेल तर मी सांगणार की अच्छा कुठे Ramayana has come, it is the classical edition. Which Ramayana are you talking about? It is coming from Baroda. Whether the scholar is associated with Baroda, then Valmiki Ramayana is important. But if you tell me Loka Ramayana, Tulsi Ramayana म्हणजे कुठलं रामायण, कंब रामायण वेगळं असतं. सो यू हॅव टू कीप लुकिंग ॲट द सोर्स.
जैन रामायण वेगळं आहे.
जैन रामायण विमलसुरी रामायण इज कम्प्लिटली डिफरंट.
त्याचं लक्ष्मणाने रावणाला मारलेलं आहे.
आणि एनिवे दॅट इज अनदर टॉपिक.
Anyway, next question please.
You have talked about the Sindhu river right through,
Yes.
but you have not mentioned anything about the Saraswati. What do you think about it?
No, the Saraswati, there was a parallel river. That is like no-brainer now. I mean, there is a parallel river. So the Pakistani archaeologists found to the west of Sindhu river, right in the middle of the Cholistan desert, they found a few settlements. So it was clear that there had to be some water supply over there. And now it is very clearly known that there is a river flowing in that area, which even today that the river exists, is Ghagar Hakra river, and it flows. And when it is only the northern part still exists. And then it flows into the, and see the desert area has many rivers like this. Luni river is also like that. It comes and goes into the desert. So it is not an uncommon phenomena. We have given it too much of importance and all that. It is just one of the many rivers. So there were clearly two rivers, and the Harappa, the Haryana belt, it was following this river. So that is very clearly there. And the thing is, Rajasthan is a very different desert. It is the only desert in the world which is highly populated, because there is a lot of groundwater. And because there's a lot of groundwater, Indians will say Saraswati Nadi lupt ho gayi, pani hai. So there is a river flowing is an Indian memory, but the memory came from whom? Did it come from the mothers or the fathers? And what did the mother called it? Did the mother use the word Saraswati, or did the father use the word Saraswati? That's the question to ask. What did the father call? Because you have a Raksavati river or Haraksavati river in so the father has traveled from Afghanistan to India, not the mother. So the mother called the river something else. What she called, we don't know. Because we have the father's language, but the mother's language, as I said, slips in. It is very subtle. I'll give you an example. Aap, tum, tu. These three words are there. Na? Aap, tum, tu. In Sanskrit, what is there in Sanskrit? All Sanskrit scholars? Only one, no?
Tvam.
Equality. ये 3 level कहाँ से आया? हरप्पा से?
नहीं, उधर से आया. You is the only thing. There was
only
Dao
you.
also there, but Dao has
No,
not
but it
been-
is 2 levels. 3 levels is uniquely Indian. कुठून आला ते? And we don't want to give the mother's value, na? Harappan mother.
Right. Next.
Thank you so much for this. This was a wonderful session. I have a question, sir, that Ahimsa as a concept, basically, it's non-violence. Some of us, as you very rightly said, that we are very, that मैं तो ये नहीं खाता, but we generally don't speak well to this. So what do you have with the young generations who may believe that they are in Ahimsa, but then wake late at night watching Netflix series, watching, all the series with lot of violence in it.
Binge
And-
watching.
Yes, binge watching. At the end of the day, also what happens is what we see, what we consume, what we become, how you treat ourselves.
Yeah, I got it. Listen, young children, let them do whatever they want. Yeah.
Not
Old people are jealous of them because we can't digest the food they eat, and we can't stay awake that late. So we are like, mat karo. So don't let grandparents decide your life. They will tell you to work 70 hours a week.
So I think we'll stop there. Devdutt, it was a wonderful session. Thank you very much for sparing your time, and thank you all.